Hello everyone, my name is Anuraida binti Azamuddin, and today I'll be sharing to you guys about the financial portfolio of Ta'an Holdings Berhad and Jaya Tiasa Holdings Berhad. Let's get started. So, who is Ta'an Holdings Berhad and Jaya Tiasa Holdings Berhad? Ta'an Holdings Berhad is an openly traded business with its main office located in Sarawak, Malaysia. Timber, oil palm farms, and crude palm oil mills are among this company's interests. Being at the forefront of forestry initiatives, they also manage forest plantations. As for Jaya Tiasa Holdings Berhad, it was an investment holding company which operates as a timber producer in Malaysia. Business activity of the group is breakdown into various segments which includes logs trading, manufacturing, oil palm, and others.
Hi, I'm Hijratul Lain and I'm going to explain about profitability ratio. It is to assess business ability to generate earnings relative to its revenue, operating costs, balance sheet asset or shareholder equity over time by using data from a specific point in time, and it is expressed in percentage. As you can see on this gross profit margin graph, based on the provided data, it seems like Ta'an Holding has shown more consistent growth or stability compared to Jaya Tiasa Holding Berhad, which exhibit more viability in its financial performance. All in all, I would say Ta'an Holdings has a better GPM than Jaya Tiasa Holding. As for net profit margin graph, both companies show some positive growth trends over the period, with Ta'an Holdings Berhad demonstrating more consistent growth compared to Jaya Tiasa Holding Berhad, which appears to be more volatile in its financial performance. Overall, I would say Ta'an Holdings Berhad is better as it has a higher profit margin and it is always desirable since it means the company generates more profit from its sales. As for return on equity graph, the shown data suggests that Ta'an Holdings Berhad has demonstrated stronger and more consistent growth in earnings per share compared to Jaya Tiasa Berhad. Considering everything, I would say Ta'an Holdings Berhad is better than Jaya Tiasa Berhad because the higher the ROE, the better the company is at converting its equity financing into profit.
Liquidity ratio is financial ratio that measures a company's ability to pay off its short-term debt obligation with its current or liquid assets. The current ratio is a liquidity ratio that measures a company's ability to pay short-term obligations or those due within 1 year. It is a crucial indicator of financial health. Ta'an Holdings Berhad show a significant increase in its current ratio in 2023, indicating a stronger liquidity position, while Jaya Holdings Berhad had a higher current ratio than Ta'an Holdings Berhad in 2020 and 2022, suggesting better short-term financial stability in those years. However, there was a notable decrease in 2023, which could imply a reduction in liquidity or an increase in short-term liabilities. In overall comparison, Jaya Tiasa Holdings Berhad has had a lower current ratio than Ta'an Holdings Berhad. The quick ratio, also known as the acid test ratio, measures a company's ability to meet its short-term obligation with its most liquid assets. The higher the quick ratio, the better the company's liquidity position. Ta'an Holdings Berhad quick ratio has seen some fluctuations but ended with a higher ratio in 2022 compared to 2019, indicating an improvement in liquidity. Jaya Tiasa Holdings Berhad maintained a stable quick ratio for the first 3 years and then saw a significant increase in 2022, suggesting a substantial improvement in liquidity. In overall comparison, Jaya Tiasa Holdings Berhad has had a lower quick ratio than Ta'an Holdings Berhad.
Next, I'll be explaining about efficiency ratio. Efficiency ratio measures a company's ability to use its assets to generate income. Asset turnover ratio. The higher the ratio, the better, which means that the company is earning more revenue by using its resource at their best. As you guys can tell by the graph, overall, both companies experience fluctuations in asset turnover ratio over the period, but the patterns differ. Taan Holdings Berhad showed more significant fluctuations with a notable decrease in asset turnover ratio in 2023. And in contrast, Jaya Jasa Holdings Berhad ATR showed a more gradual increase over the years with a slight decrease in 2023. Then we can see that Jaya Jasa has fully utilizing its own resource to generate sales revenue compared to Taan Holdings Berhad. Next, inventory day ratio. A good inventory day ratio is between 5 and 10 for most industries, which indicates that you sell and restock your inventory every 1 and 2 months. This ratio strikes a good balance between having enough inventory on hand and not having to reorder too frequently. As seen from the graph, the Taan Holdings Berhad ratio trend suggests a relatively stable valuation over the period, while Jaya Jasa Holdings Berhad ratio reflects more volatility, especially with a significant increase observed in 2022. Next, we will continue to receivable day ratio. This ratio helps measure how long it takes for a company to collect payments from its customers, which then, the smaller the ratio, the better for the company. So you guys can see from the graph, Taan Holdings Berhad and Jaya Jasa Holdings Berhad both experienced fluctuations in their receivable day ratio over the period, with varying trends. However, we can tell that Taan Holdings Berhad actually have the best receivable day ratio compared to Jaya Jasa Holdings Berhad. Lastly, we will go through payable day ratio. Payable day ratio indicates the average time in days that the company takes to pay its bills and invoice to its creditors. A high day payable outstanding ratio means that it takes a company more time to pay their bills and creditors. But simply put, there is no good or bad DPO, as it all based on the size of the company, payment terms, cash flow, and supplier relationship. For example, a high DPO means the company has more cash on hand, which can be beneficial for some organizations. But to compare from the graph, both companies' financial figures exhibit fluctuations over the years, but the patterns differ. Taan Holdings Berhad shows more pronounced fluctuations, while Jaya Jasa Holdings Berhad's data appears relatively stable with fluctuations within a narrower range.
So today I will present to you about capital structure ratio. What is capital structure ratio? Capital structure ratio is the particular combination of debt and equity used by a company to finance its overall operation and growth. Based on the graph of total capital employed, the data suggests that Taan Holdings Berhad experienced growth over the period, particularly in the later years, while Jaya Jasa Holdings Berhad's trend of total capital employed is more varied with fluctuations and a less consistent pattern. For gearing ratio, Taan Holdings Berhad shows variability over the years, approximately ranging from 0.28 to 0.33. The gearing ratio for Jaya Jasa Holdings Berhad exhibits fluctuation with values ranging from 0.18 to 0.38. These observations highlight the dynamic nature of the company's capital structures and financial strategies over the 5 years. Changes in gearing ratio can reflect management's decisions regarding debt management, investment opportunities, and risk tolerance. The debt-to-equity ratio fluctuates over the years, ranging from approximately 0.27 to 1.77. The debt-to-equity ratio also varies over the years for Jaya Jasa Holdings Berhad, with values ranging from approximately 0.56 to 3.70. These observations highlight the contrasting debt management strategies and financial structures of the two companies over the 5-year period. In a nutshell, Taan Holdings Berhad appears to maintain a more conservative reliance with lower debt levels, while Jaya Jasa Holdings Berhad demonstrates higher potentially and variability, greater reliance on debt financing for its operation or expansion.
To conclude, the Holdings Berhad shows steady growth over the period with consistent improvement in return on equity and liquidity ratio. On the other hand, Jayatesa Holdings Berhad experienced more volatility in its financial performance. While it shows some recovery in certain years, its overall stability was lower compared to Taan Holdings Berhad. In summary, Taan Holdings Berhad demonstrated a trajectory of steady growth and stability over the period, with consistent improvement in key financial metrics. Conversely, Jayatesa Holdings Berhad financial performance exhibit greater volatility and unpredictability despite showing signs of recovery in certain years. Further analysis and contextual understanding would be necessary to fully interpret this trend and assess the underlying factors driving the financial performance of each company.